Hello, in this video I want to cover the issue of having your topology be too simple and not dense enough. And real quick guys, if you want to learn this awesome new program called Plasticity, I've got a course for you in the description. It's the first link there. And it's got a lot of awesome content. It's got over 42 hours of educational content. It's got a tree cutting mechs. It's got police robots, Omega, SMGs, cyborg ninjas, and much more. So be sure to check that out. So in this example, I will use Blender. And what I will pretty much do is, let's just say, select this face and then hold shift and select this one, Control I and delete. And I'm just going to move this, let's say right here. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and do a bevel on this and maybe add one more segment to this. Alright, let's say get something like that. And I can just scale this and add some more loops through this. Alright, so this is a pretty simple and kind of perfect topology right here. And so we can continue to work with this and to kind of extrude and continue modeling. However, if you want to add a small detail to this, I think this topology is way too simple. So let me just create a few copies. Shift D. Alright, for this one, let's say I will select this right here, this face, and I will inset here and kind of use circle. Right click, loop tools, circle. You need to enable that in your add-ons just to kind of make our polygon a little bit more perfect here. Alright, and then for example, I'll just do a quick inset and extrude. Alright, so we've got this right here. And so I'm also just going to crease these edges. I'm going to select it, Shift E, move it to the right, and there we go. Now press Control 4 to apply subdivision with 4 levels. So in this situation, it's not that bad, but you can see some issues happening right here. And especially from this angle, you can see this kind of thing happening right here. So definitely, for this situation, for this level of detail, we want something a little bit more complex than this. And you can see from this angle as well, we have some slight deformation happening. But let's create a more extreme example. Let's press Shift A and create a cube. And then let's right click and subdivide this, and let's increase the smoothness, and let's increase number of cuts. So let's say something like that. Kind of a nice spherical object here without all the bad topology that comes from using the default UV sphere, for example, with all these triangles here. And the thing is, for regular subdivision, this will work fine, so I press Control 3. You can see there's no issues with it. But if I try and model something here, for example, I am going to select this, Control Shift, and then just, let's say, delete this. In this situation, we don't want to inset, we don't want to rely on support loops, we want to rely on creasing for this. So I'm going to delete this, and then what I can do, I can either apply a solidify modifier, and give it thickness like this, or what I can do is simply tab, A, and then extrude to give it thickness as well. So you can see kind of a very basic modeling setup here, just a sphere with a hole and thickness added to it. So I'm going to select one of these edges, select sharp edges, and the default 30 works fine. I'll press Shift E, move this to the right, give it a little bit of crease there. There we go. Let's press Control 3. And let's also just shade smooth. And now you notice the problems are occurring. Now from this angle it looks kind of fine, although you start to see some strange shading, but when you rotate your camera you will notice what's happening here. You get this kind of angularity. Let's see if we increase our subdivision to, let's say, 4 or 5. And you notice we get this kind of strange curve happening here. And this really bad subdivision on the edges. Because essentially what we're doing here is that the rest of the mesh is trying to stay smooth while you're trying to tell the mesh to stay sharp at this. And it creates this really bad effect here. So the solution to this is that when you initially used subdivide, you can increase number of cuts to even more. Or what you can do is, instead of doing this, you can simply apply more levels of subdivision and then Control A to apply that. And now you have a much better situation happening here. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control Shift. Alright, and I'm going to delete that. pressing X. There we go. A, extrude, Shift E. There we go. Control 3. And as you notice now, it's looking a lot cleaner here. So, in many situations, what you want to do is, for example, model your initial mesh as simply as you can. Once you're done with your initial kind of block out and shape and you're ready to start adding details, then you want to crease things. Subdivide, Control A to apply, and then you can go in here and add all your smaller details. And depending on how small detail you want more subdivision. So for example, if you want even smaller things than this, we can go 2, 3, or 4. And so now you can create even smaller little holes here. So one of the things with polygon modeling is that if you want smaller details, you do unfortunately need the greater density here. And then you can add much smaller details. As you can see, unlike with the previous detail, there are no deformations happening here. It looks very clean. So the first question to ask yourself when your deformations don't look right is my mesh dense enough for this detail? Chances are I can fix a lot of issues just by using a denser mesh, and always be sure to keep a backup before you do it. That way if you don't like it, you can go ahead and try again with another density. Thank you for watching, and take care.